it is a sign of how broken our politics are that the president can say these things from the White House and then go the second step of weaponizing the federal government against us, right? Mm-hmm. That's the 1-2 punch that, frankly, when I was a CIA officer, I used to study other countries that would do these kinds of things. Obviously, I wouldn't wish these security situations on anybody. When the president says you should be killed, you should hear what the average citizen with mental health challenges does. So we have 24/7 security and your family gets threatened. I can handle quite a bit, but you come from my family and it is just a whole different situation, and then the whole thing of you gotta get a lawyer and figure out how you're going to pay someone to defend you because the government that I worked for proudly, that I believe in to my core, is now being weaponized against me.
Secretary Noem, Trump administration, you're going after the worst of the worst criminals, and we agree with you. The problem is 70% of the people you've arrested have no criminal record. You're going after non-criminal immigrants, U.S. citizens, and permanent legal residents. Donna Hughes Brown, Irish citizen, green card holder, 48 years in the United States. She also happens to be the mother of a U.S. Marine, sister to a retired Army colonel. She's in ICE detention since July. Her crime? She wrote 2 bad checks for less than $80 a decade ago. You arrested her, she's in custody. Her husband, Jim Brown, came to us and told us her story. Jim told us, I voted for President Trump because he promised to go after criminals in our community and not people like my wife. Understanding you also voted for President Trump.
Yes, sir.
Why did you vote for him?
Because I was an idiot. 80% of the evangelical Christian people were lied to, if you really want to know the truth, and that's exactly what happened. They said criminal, and I believe criminals need to be off the street.
I just want to make sure people watching this understand who you are.
My wife and I, when we don't work, we're ministers. We help the needy. That's what we do. And that's who they're arresting.
These people, Donna Hughes Brown, are not the individuals that should be deported.
In every one of the 60 countries that still have them on the books. Yeah. There's no justification for criminalizing consensual homosexual acts that hurt nobody. But
what happened to Breonna Taylor was a profound failure of our justice system, and one that we have a moral responsibility to correct. Each day that passes is another day that this sort of tragedy could befall another family. And each day that Congress does not act to put an end to no-knock warrants is another day that justice will be denied for Breonna and her family. Breonna.
Right. I don't know a single American who thinks they're paying too little for their health care. We're not settled as a nation on how we do it. It's just too much of our annual salaries. So I think there's actual room for bipartisanship, but there has to be a will. And my Republican colleagues, some of them, like we saw today, 4 of them voted with us. I was willing to sit with anyone. I will negotiate with literally anyone on the issue of health care. But
I think what the American public need to understand is if this can happen to these 5 U.S. citizens that are standing in front of us and sitting here right now, it could.
I urge every member of this chamber to join the Congressional Labor Caucus in supporting this crucial legislation. Let's stand with federal workers in restoring their union rights against these unprecedented attacks on their livelihoods.
Director Kent, what actions are being taken to identify and remove any of the 100,000 Afghan nationals admitted under the Biden admin who may have ties to terrorism, like the one who shot 2 National Guard members, tragically killing Sarah Beckstrom here in Washington, D.C.?
When you couple the reconciliation package back in January, that was the largest cut to Medicaid in history. And that was for tax breaks for the wealthy. And then when you couple them with allowing, if the Republicans allow the ACA subsidies to expire, if they let those tax credits expire, this is just going to be another burden on top.
This isn't a January thing, a February thing. It's a now thing, a right now thing. If Congress doesn't act, and if our Republican colleagues don't join us in simply extending tax credits that have been in place for years, the new premiums, they'll start paying them on Monday, 5 days from now, right?
And I believe so fiercely in the model of our school-based health centers, of our community health centers, in addressing those disparate outcomes.
I stand in strong support of the 2026 NDAA. It's an essential piece of legislation that underscores our commitment to ensuring that we uphold safety and security of the American people.
I'd like to process even more U.S. attorneys, but I'm hamstrung waiting for background investigations and other paperwork from the administration that the committee needs to advance the nominees.
So under that plan for him, real world, is if he has a really good year, doesn't get sick, it's $21,000. If it's a bad year, somebody gets sick in the family, it's $35,500.
What this is about is President Trump, again, wanting to assert dominance and go outside the rule of law so that the U.S. and he as president can do whatever he wants to do. I think we